One thing I want to say before I start, congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs. I said yesterday, we can talk about things we're going to talk about in this video and talk about all the mistakes, all the bad calls. We can talk about all that. But at the end of the day, look, the Chiefs outplayed us. The Chiefs outcoached us. They made the plays when we didn't, and that's why they won the football game. So I will say that first. Congrats to Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. But there are some things we have to talk about. I'm going to get the rant part of this out of the way now. I'm going to get the controversy out of the way now. Let's go ahead and talk about the Bradbury hold. So here it is. There are some points, like he grabs his jersey there, and it shows right there. By the book, it's a hold. And I had to face that after kind of just consoling about this all night long. It's a hold. It just is. But here's my problem with this. And I'm going to use a baseball analogy to make my point. If a pitcher is throwing a ball on the inside, that's a strike. And he's calling it a ball all night long. And all of a sudden, in the ninth inning in a one-run game with the bases loaded, he decides to call that a strike on a 3-2 count. You think the batter's going to be upset, especially after being at the plate about 4 times? And you can make this analogy with any sport. And this is the problem, and this is the frustration that I have with this. It's the consistency. This was not called all night long. This was happening all night long, and it was not called. In a play in the second quarter with about 13 minutes left, very early on, Bradbury grabs Juju's arm, and it is not called. So why do they decide with the Super Bowl on the line, this is going to decide the game and decide who wins the Super Bowl? They call this at the very end of a game, and that all of a sudden, that's when they decide to call it. Maybe I'm just being a salty Eagles fan. I will face that if that's the case. Maybe this is just a hold and this should be called, and that's the end of that. But I'm frustrated that this gets called in this moment at this time. That's why I'm upset. But I will not argue that it was not a hold. I think this was barely anything, and this wasn't much contact. You know, it is what it is. So even with that being said, this is not the reason we lost this football game. We lost this football game because Jonathan Gannon's defense was absolutely pathetic, and they didn't show up. And I'm not going to just put that on Jonathan Gannon because his defensive line had no sacks. He had absolutely no pressure at all. Mahomes was on one leg and still escaped the pocket, was able to run. Completely wide open receivers. I don't know how Travis Kelce gets this wide open as he was. Even the touchdown, I don't know how he gets one-on-one with Epps. Just a horrible defensive game plan, if there even was one. Just absolutely pathetic. And I'll just leave it at that. Jonathan Gannon's defense was horrible, and that's why we lost this football game. And on top of that, we made a whole bunch of mistakes. The Jalen Hurts fumble, it was 14-7 at that point. If you go down and score, make it a 14-point game early. And I get that we blew a 10-point lead ultimately. But a 14-point lead early, who knows what would have happened at that point, because the Chiefs defense could not stop us at that point in the game. We worried about the special teams all year long, and it finally came back to bite us in the Super Bowl. Tony ended up having the big punt return. I never thought, especially when he was in New York, that he would be the one to beat us in the Super Bowl. But that is what it is. He made plays, give him credit. And yeah, that was the story of the game. You know, the Chiefs made plays and executed at the right times. So it is what it is. One thing I will say, I did talk about the fumble, which actually, going back to the Jalen Hurts fumble, if Samoa doesn't have that false start, that probably doesn't happen. We sneak in to get the first down and keep going. But yeah, it's just another one of the many mistakes tonight. But one thing I will say, Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field last night. I don't care if Mahomes won the MVP. Jalen Hurts the best player on the field. He just came up short. Just that 3rd and 8 where early in the second, I think it was the second quarter, he escapes the pocket, gets out the pocket, and makes that throw to Pascal. He threw 2 amazing passes to Goddard through tight windows in the third quarter. He had that big run on 4th and 6 in the first half. That deep ball to A.J. Brown. He made plays all night long. Threw for 300 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a passing touchdown. One thing I will say, pay Jalen Hurts today. He carried us all night long, and even in all the games he looked shaky, Jalen Hurts carried us. If that made us get paid for Justin Herbert or Tua, there is a big problem. But please pay that man right now. Man, it just hurts. This loss just hurts that much more with the way Jalen Hurts played. I have a hard time. Miles Sanders was pretty bad in this game. Even that, after that fumble that went out of bounds in the first place, he was already thinking, take him out, take him out, take him out. He didn't look ready to play. Gainwell and Boston Scott looked far readier to play than he did. But besides that, the offense did their thing. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, who had 100 yards, did his thing. Dallas Goedert did his thing. The O-line did their thing. It just sucks, man, just to come up short with the way this offense played, especially with how bad this defense was. I give credit to Mahomes. He had that injury. He had the ankle injury, fought through it, and that's what the great quarterbacks do. He's an all-time great. And so I give him credit for that. I give Andy Reid credit. This loss just hurts, man. This one hurts, especially because when they lost to the Patriots, what was it, like 2004? I was like 2 or 3 years old. I don't remember that. This is the first Eagles Super Bowl loss that I actually remember. So, and this is gonna haunt me for years, man. Oh man, this sucks. I want to say we'll be back, but that's not guaranteed in the NFL. I learned that from 2017 and how much of a struggle it was in 2018 and 19. You're not promised another Super Bowl appearance. Everything on paper sets us up to be. We have 2 first-round picks. We still have some time before Hurts extension would kick in. But, yeah, that's not guaranteed in the NFL, especially when teams are gunning for you. I feel pretty good about you know what, I'm not even going to talk about that. That is a whole nother video, but we just got to take this time to really take this loss in. This will take me a while, man. Oh, man, this will take me a little bit. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. But so, I hope you guys at least enjoyed the Super Bowl experience. It was a great game. That's all I can really say about that.